a 170-kilometer mirrored city rising from the Saudi desert. No cars, no roads, 9 million residents. The line was announced as the most radical reimagining of urban life ever attempted, backed by $500 billion. Then a leaked internal audit revealed a true cost of $8.8 trillion and a completion date pushed to 2080. To understand how this vision began to unravel, you have to see what it promised. In January 2021, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman introduced the world to Neom, a state-backed development entity designed to spearhead the kingdom's transition away from oil dependency. The crown jewel of this initiative was a single, continuous structure slicing across the Tabuk province. This proposed metropolis abandoned traditional horizontal sprawl in favor of what planners termed zero-gravity urbanism, a three-dimensional layering of city functions. Renderings showed two parallel mirrored skyscrapers rising 500 meters into the sky, creating a narrow urban canyon. The design aimed to house millions of people inside a footprint of just 34 square kilometers, achieving a density far greater than any existing global capital. At the core of this layout was the 5-minute walk. Planners designed the vertical modules so that schools, clinics, parks, and retail spaces would sit directly above or below residential spaces, removing the need for daily commuting. For longer travel, a high-speed rail line buried deep beneath the structure promised to transport passengers across the entire expanse in just 20 minutes. It was presented as a frictionless, hyper-efficient ecosystem powered entirely by wind and solar energy, a complete reinvention of how humans occupy space on Earth. To run a city of this scale, planners designed an infrastructure network completely reliant on automation. Artificial intelligence would govern the daily routine, managing waste disposal, water reclamation, and climate control systems without human intervention. This digital nervous system would operate on a grid powered entirely by renewable energy, using massive desert solar installations and coastal wind farms to sustain millions of lives. For transit, the design bypassed conventional streets entirely. Instead, a high-speed rail network running along the subterranean spine promised to transport passengers from one end of the metropolis to the other in just 20 minutes. This system made the extreme physical concentration of residents possible. By stacking homes and offices vertically, the city would achieve a population density 6 times greater than Manila, squeezing 9 million people into a footprint of just 34 square kilometers. It was a complete departure from existing urban models, requiring engineering feats never before attempted. But the true challenge lay in its financial scale. The Saudi government announced an initial development budget of $500 billion. That astronomical price tag represented nearly a third of the country's annual economic output, making it one of the most expensive capital undertakings in human history. In the spring of 2024, a highly classified 100-page internal audit was presented directly to the Neom board of directors. Prepared by Neom's internal teams alongside analysts from McKinsey & Company, the document shattered the financial foundation of the entire enterprise. Instead of the publicly announced $500 billion budget, the report projected a final comprehensive cost of $8.8 trillion. That single figure transformed the project from a daring architectural leap into an economic impossibility. $8.8 trillion is more than 8 times Saudi Arabia's entire annual gross domestic product and roughly 25 times the government's yearly budget. The document also dismantled the schedule, pushing the realistic completion date out to the year 2080, 5 decades past the original target. The scale of these numbers raised immediate governance concerns inside the kingdom, highlighting that senior managers had relied on manipulated assumptions to secure funding approvals. With the cash reserves of the Public Investment Fund sitting at a 6-year low of $15 billion, bridging an $8 trillion gap through sovereign wealth or foreign investment was no longer viable. As the financial models dissolved, the technical claims began to fail their own stress tests. Planners had to confront the reality of powering an ultra-tall linear city with structural renewables. Sustaining a high-speed subterranean train and cooling massive vertical towers in extreme desert heat required energy storage capacity orders of magnitude larger than any commercial system on Earth. The dream of a frictionless desert oasis was officially colliding with the laws of physics and finance. Beyond the financial collapse, the physical reality of the project carved directly through the communities of the Tabuk province. The Huaytat tribe had inhabited these desert valleys for generations, but the trajectory of the planned metropolis required their complete removal. Beginning in 2020, the Saudi government launched forced evictions across the region, clearing historic villages like Al-Quraiba. Human rights groups, including ALQST and Amnesty International, documented the systematic displacement of over 6,000 Bedouins. Local resistance was met with state force. Community leader Abdul Rahim al-Huwaidi was shot and killed by security forces in his home after protesting the eviction orders. Planners treated the desert as an empty canvas, but the construction zone was already an occupied home. To build the foundation of this future, the kingdom turned to a massive migrant labor force, drawing tens of thousands of workers from South Asia. Investigations by Human Rights Watch revealed that many of these laborers arrived already trapped in debt bondage, having paid recruitment fees of up to $4,000. On site, they faced the realities of the kafala system, living in isolated, high-density desert camps with controlled entry points, their passports confiscated, and their wages frequently delayed. The human toll became a subject of international scrutiny in 2024. A documentary by British broadcaster ITV alleged that 21,000 migrant workers had died, and 100,000 had gone missing across all vision, 2,030 projects since 2017. The Saudi government strongly denied these figures, calling them misinformation and pointing to official data, citing a rate of 1.12 deaths per 100,000 workers. Yet, the stark contrast between official statistics and worker testimonies left a persistent shadow over the desert, revealing that the future city was already built on a very present human cost. By early 2026, the immense physical scale of the original proposal began to contract. The planning apparatus of Neom quietly adjusted its core metrics, scaling back its ambitions to fit a new reality. The target population, once projected at 9 million residents, fell to just 300,000. Instead of slicing 170 kilometers across the desert, the physical footprint of completed foundation work stalled at just 2.4 kilometers, barely 1.4% of the original plan. The timeline too slipped away. The grand opening, initially scheduled for 2030, was replaced with projections pushing full completion to 2045 at the earliest. These revised figures represent more than a delay. They show a project losing its own identity. What remains is a partial remnant of a once unified vision. The city is no longer being imagined in full. In September 2025, the NEOM board formally suspended all construction on the line. The heavy machinery went silent, and the entire on-site workforce, nearly 20,000 laborers, was abruptly relocated to Riyadh, leaving behind a scarred, empty desert. The grand 170-kilometer mirror has been reduced to a lone 2-kilometer concrete trench. Today, the massive financial, ethical, and engineering stakes remain completely unresolved. We are left looking at a quiet, unfinished fragment in the sand. Is this the blueprint for humanity's urban future? Or is it destined to be the most expensive abandoned dream in human history? The quiet sands of Tabuk now hold a warning. The future of human civilization cannot be bought with trillions, nor built on displacement. The line remains a monument to ambition and its cost. What do you think? Share your thoughts below.